Dear Venerable Sirs, Dhamma friends, today is the first day in our retreat, and this hour we have allocated for the Dhamma talk. May everyone get settled down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Katame tayo dhamma parinyeya tisso vedana, dukkha vedana, sukha vedana, adukkhama sukha vedana ti. Dear Venerable sisters and brothers, Dhamma friends, this is the first Dhamma talk in this series, and whenever we are taking this kind of a full-time residential retreat, we together as well as individually try our best to make use this time efficiently. According to the instructions of the Buddha, whenever we are taking this kind of a full-time retreat, we have to facilitate this retreat in 5 ways so that we can expect the assured results. So this you find in the Anguttara Nikaya, the book of 5. There's a particular discourse, the way the Buddha explained how to facilitate this kind of a full-time retreat, or whenever we are taking meditation as full-time. The first and the foremost thing, or foremost way of facilitating or giving a conducive condition is to observe precepts. That means we must abide by our moral code or moral responsibilities, then only we can expect proper mindset for this kind of a retreat. Accordingly, today, just after the first sitting, we all agreed upon these 8 precepts, and that is the standard for the lay devotees, and that is called Sila Anuggahita. This way of facilitating the retreat individually as well as the group, that is an essential part without which very difficult to go for the restraint of the mind. First and foremost, we have to restrain our physical and verbal behavior. That is what we call moral restraint, Silanuggahita. So I think we have no any difficulty to understand the value of this moral restraint. So just I mention it and go to the next one. The next way of facilitating, or the next thing very conducive for the desired result of our meditation is listening to the teaching of the Buddha. That we call theoretical understanding or book knowledge. So we have to allocate time for listening to Dhamma. It can be in a way of reading or any other means, But the historical and traditional way is listening. So that is why in our timetable daily, we have allocated 1 hour. That is called Dhamma talk. And for that usually, we are taking a particular discourse of the Buddha or a reputed disciple, and then we elaborate day by day in a way that will be furtherance of our basic instructions. In that respect, I selected this particular discourse known as Dasuttara Sutta, which you find in the long discourses known as Digha Nikaya, that appear as the last discourse in this particular book. I would like to know whether this way is good for the translation into Chinese. It's okay? For the simultaneous translation? It's going on. Okay, as far as these 5 facilitatings are concerned, the first one is the moral restraint, the second one is listening to discourses, that is called Sutta Anuggahita in Pali. The third aspect is Sakaccha Anuggahita, that is discussion. Sometimes it is been translated as interviews. So for that also we have allocated 1 hour in our timetable, that is in the afternoon. So whatever the questions pertaining to our basic instructions, the questions pertaining to our moral restraint, pertaining to our orientation and the other rules and regulation, we have to discuss and sort them out. Otherwise, our mind will not be released, mind not be at ease for the discussion, for the meditation. On top of that, if you are not sure enough, if you are not certain enough about the precepts and how to conduct and what is the relevance kind of thing, there may be some talking each other among the meditators, and that is not been much welcome. And if you have any kind of doubts regarding the basic instructions, there are also yogis in between. Talking each other must be prevented. If any facility or any other orientation related problems available, please raise them in this question and answer session so that the authoritative person can really take it up and clear it for the rest of the group as well. And not only that, in this session of discussion, any questions related to your practice and the progress also will be taken up. In Pali, it is called the Kamatahan Suddha Karna in Sinhala, that is when and where you are met up with any difficulty pertaining to your moral restraint, concentration, as well as wisdom, that must be clarified then and there. That is the meaning of this discussion, or Sakaccha in Pali. The fourth aspect is, with this moral background and theoretical understanding, and after clarifying your then and there doubts, you must take time to meditate and develop concentration. And the fifth aspect is, you must take time to develop wisdom, that is called Vipassana Anuggahita, and that is how we give the most conducive condition or proximate causes for the mind to progress along this meditation. And when and where you are facilitating sufficiently, then your views will be more straightened, much widened, and then you can reach the goal either in the Cheto Vimukti, through your mind, or Panya Vimukti, through wisdom. So this is the way, in the traditional Theravada way, we together as well as individually facilitate this kind of a residential retreat or full-time retreat. So having given that basic instructions, now I would like to go into the particular discourse or particular topic that I cited as the day's topic, that is a quotation from particular discourse known as Dasuttara Sutta. Venerable Sariputta is asking a particular question from the fellow meditators or co-meditators, Khatame Tayo Dhamma Parinyeya. What are the three things a meditator should understand thoroughly? This particular sutta, the Dasuttara Sutta, is a very significant, very specific kind of a sutta. It is giving the background and preparing the ground preparation for compilation of all the knowledge the Buddha given during his time of 45 years. So Venerable Sariputta, he passed away before the Buddha. So he was worrying, in a sense, about people like us. When the Buddha is delivering discourses to a particular person or particular group or on a particular subject, they were not in an orderly manner. They were very circumstantial or time-specific. So Venerable Sariputta was well versed about the Dhamma, but he was thinking about how to carry this message over the period of time and in the different cultures, different geographical situations. So he has taken two efforts. The first effort you can find in the Sutta number 31, known as Sangiti Sutta. He tried to put the teaching of the Buddha, the book of one, and what are the discourses the Buddha is talking about one single subject. And that compiled the book of one. And the other suttas or discourses discussing mainly on two subjects, he put into the book of two. And likewise he is compiling up to the book 11, and it's a mere gathering and compilation and secondary data analysis of the total teaching of the Buddha. And Sutta number 32, namely this Dasuttara Sutta, he is preparing them in order to achieve in a gradual way up to the Nibbana, that is in a more pragmatic way, 10 questions, 10 answers. First 10 questions are pertaining to single-fold facts. Second set of questions, that means 10 questions, pertaining to two things. Third one is about 3 things, likewise developing up to 10 things. So that is why the name came, the Dasuttara, growing groups from 1 to 10. And this is the first time in human history the epistemological or disciplining the all available knowledges so that it will last long, as well as leading to the final goal of Nibbana. And yet another aspect is, once that is been compiled and presented in this graphic form or tabulated form, if one particular point is missing, one can assimilate, one can deduce, one can have a kind of an approach with the help of the surrounding factors, so that it is giving a kind of a completion of the knowledge. So this is the first time in the human history you can find such a compilation or graphic or tabulated form of the whole teaching. So therefore, if you have time, of course not in the meditation retreat, just go through this particular sutta and see how nicely all these knowledges are interrelated and how qualified Venerable Sariputta, as the general of the Dhamma, as the Buddha appointed, he presented in such a complete knowledge, a compilation. So it is very, in a sense, very intellectual. Not only that, it is very pragmatic. So we are in the now book of 3. The Venerable Sariputta is asking the fellow meditators or co-practitioners, Katame, Tayo Dhamma, Parinyaya, what are the 3 things one must understand thoroughly? Asking the question, he never expects the answer from the audience, and that is, the answer is directing the attention of the audience, what he is going to talk. And he himself gives the answer, Tiso Vedana, 3 kinds of feelings. It's very important and it's a kind of a subject you must be very thorough as and when you advance along this meditation or advance along this mindfulness. Namely, Sukha Vedana, the pleasant feeling. The second one is Dukkha Vedana, unpleasant feeling. And the third one is Adukkhama Sukha Vedana, no pain, no pleasure kind of feeling. So these 3 aspects of the feelings itself is interrelated or reciprocal each other. And so that is also a subject we can take along this Paticca Samuppada or dependent origination, how Sukha Vedana is, or how this pleasant feeling is related with Dukkha Vedana, unpleasant feeling, how the Adukkhama Sukha Vedana, no pain, no pleasure kind of pain, come into being. It's a one way of understanding feeling in terms of dependent origination or reciprocal nature of them. And in the big picture, we can say where the Vedana lies along these 12 aspects of Paticca Samuppada, 12 aspects of dependent origination, that's also we can take as we advance along this series of discourses. So today, and the other one is the third aspect or third dimension is when we are advancing along the mindfulness or sati, where can we relate, connect into this Vedana. Of course, in the Satipatthana Sutta, the particular sutta known as the 4 foundation of mindfulness, the mindfulness is not supposed to start with these feelings, which is coming under the non-materialistic side. It is advised to start with material part or Kaya-anupassana. So when and where you are somewhat familiar with this Kaya-anupassana, the mindfulness on your corporeality or materiality, then only the Buddha presents this Vedana-anupassana, the mindfulness on the feelings, and then Chitta-anupassana on the mind aspect, and the last part is Dhamma-anupassana. So this is how it comes. So therefore, when we are taking feelings as the subject or as the topic for the discourse, for the talk. For the beginners, it may be somewhat too advanced. So I thought of first introduce mindfulness and then lead further into how a mindful person, whenever someone is developing mindfulness, how these feelings come into being. So even though the topic is on the feeling, I would like to first take little time to introduce or to understand the relevance of mindfulness for this our practice. So yesterday as a guided meditation before sitting, I tried to introduce mindfulness as to be here and now, or be aware of your bodily posture. So I quoted the particular phrase or quotation from the Satipatthana Sutta. What are the conducive conditions, macro and micro level, the Buddha recommended for a beginner to have a comfortable start on this mindfulness. The Buddha first gave the external atmosphere or macroclimate. That means you have to go into a forest or sit under a tree or go to a place like this, which is free of sensuous pleasure, and the people chasing behind this pleasure principle. So each one of us knows how difficult for us to get this kind of an atmosphere, because we chasing behind this infrastructural development and the communicational developments, so much so we go against the forest dwelling. We chop off all the trees and we hate this kind of calm and quiet places. Instead, we are creating mega cities and all the kind of fast way of living. So therefore, whenever someone to take mindfulness in a serious way, has to think about the atmosphere. So that is how this residential retreats in the modern world came into being, or meditation centers came into being. And so it's very strange, it is very difficult to understand, even though the forest and under the tree or these solitude places are very, very healthy and very, very conducive for your mental development. How much of a fraction of the population think about it or take time for that? Leave aside mindfulness and come into a forest or go under a tree and living in a solitude place like that, very difficult to become a popular topic among the society at large. But anyway, we few people, whenever we are trying in a healthy way, whatever the population, whatever the percentage of the population try to go into this busy life, whenever you are making your effort, still there are possibilities you can make your own decision at least for a few days. So that's a kind of a miraculous thing. Even though the society at large is chasing behind this pleasure principle and this mega cities and kind of thing, for the last 30-40 years, some people found the importance of these words of the Buddha: go into the forest, sit under a tree, and go into a solitude place, and it not basically maybe not to reach Nibbana, but due to this global warming and due to this pollution, mental and environmental pollution, that became some kind of a secular topic also, going to the forest. And then, once gone, the Buddha mentioned, we have as human 4 cardinal postures: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. Out of these 4 postures, specifically for the beginners, the Buddha recommend the sitting posture. Aranyagatowa, Rukhamulagatowa, Sunyagaragatowa, Nisidasi Pallanka. Having gone into the forest or under a tree or to a solitude place, he sits cross-legged. Nisidasi Pallankam, Ujjungkayam, keep the upright the body, Pranidhaya Parimukam, then take a note of your sitting posture. That means that Nisidasi Pallankam Abhujitva, the most important word is Abhujitva. Once you sit, once you go on into this solitude place, once you sit, you have to take a mental note. I am sitting, I am comfortably sitting, and I am relaxed. And what is the mindset? What's the bodily configuration conducive for this calmness, conducive for this symmetrical dwelling and relaxation? So this is a very, very important thing, because this is a kind of an appreciation. Just sit and be glad about I am sitting. Just relax, and you are glad about that you are sitting. And you are symmetrically sitting, and you are glad about that your body is at ease. Because all the professional, occupational exposure of our body, or whatever the job we are doing as our livelihood, won't give a balanced exercise. It's always imbalance. So we have to allocate at least 8 hours a day to have our livelihood. For our professional exposure is always not keeping the body symmetrical. And imagine when we are going to live like that, what will happen to our frame? If you are not going to take any time to give some relaxation, give some unwinding, and sitting comfortability, sitting in a comfortable posture, and what the kind of torturing. So this is the way it is happening. So thanks to Buddha, occasionally we give that kind of a comfortable sitting, symmetrical sitting, relaxed sitting. And even then if you are not appreciating, you won't reap the results. So giving the comfort, symmetrical, relaxed body posture and very appreciation of it, becoming glad about it, is the secret of this meditative life. So imagine when you sit comfortably, cross-legged, and to make it more intense, if you close your eyes and see the body configuration, and if you are to feel that you are like an anthill, or like a Dagaba, or like a pyramid in the Cairo, and you can make yourself symmetrical and very relaxed and glad about this sitting. This is the starting point. And it is a kind of loving kindness to your body. It's a kind of a samatha bhavana or concentration kind of meditation as far as you are giving comfortable bodily posture. And you are being aware about that here and now, also opening way to the insight that you know you are not in the past, that you know you are not in the future, that you know you are not thinking about other places, that you know you are not thinking about other person. In other words, you are here, now, I am. And that very experience, as I tried to explain yesterday, you can't articulate, you can't express it. It's so profound. So that itself is a momentary nibbana. It's a momentary kind of liberation. But if you are not isolating it, if you are not glad about that, and if you're not appreciating it, sorry, even though physically you are prepared, your mindset or your appreciation is not there. So therefore the suggestion is there, no seconding. You are the very person, the meditator is the very person suggesting or give the atmosphere, macroclimate and the microclimate, and when and where you reach it, you have to appreciate it. In a sense, you have to second this suggestion, and you feel a momentary kind of a contentment, a momentary kind of a satisfaction. It's very, very spiritual. It's very, very religious. So to have it, maybe for the first time, you need the basic requirements like going into the forest and sitting under a tree and the solitude place or cross-legged posture. And once it is abhujita, once you recognize, once you taken into your mind, and when and where you are maximizing it, later, as and when your mind progresses, you can see even in the other postures, even in the other places, sometimes this at-home feeling, this here now I am feeling, you can come across. It is kind of a self-awareness. All of a sudden you meet yourself. In neuroscientists' scientific way, if I am pronouncing properly, it says interoception. In the midst of all the busyness, in the midst of all frustration, in the midst of all uncertainty, occasionally our mind come back and take a moment in this at-home feeling. That's the point where we feel hungry. That's the point where we feel sometimes tired. That's the point where we feel, now I am here and now. So this is not something you are earning. It's a birthright of a human being. So they can be at home. So this is the point the Buddha highlight as the starting point of mindfulness. So when you are in sitting posture, you give all the conducive condition and facilitate it, let the mind to be here and now. And for that, there are some other few very subtle points helpful for the yogi so that he or she can facilitate and give again and again so that mind may find it like a hobby rather than a task or regimentation. That is to say, in sitting, don't have any kind of a volitional activity, just being, just sit. That's why you must make yourself comfortable and let the mind to be at home and feel, now I am here. If you have any kind of intention, if you have any kind of a drive or volitional activity, mentally, physically or verbally, the simplicity, the innocence of this mindfulness will be complicated. So yeah, you have to not only the moral restraint, so to say, not only the physical and verbal restraint, you have to understand the mindset itself must not be chasing behind something, not expecting something, no judgmental, no choice, not choosing mind, just sit and be aware, just being. So these are the thought moments we can say we are living. They are not partial. We are total, unified in the present moment. And that experience is kind of a thing, very difficult to express. But when two people come into this here and now situation, both experience the same. So if you wish to know, if you wish to experience and share with the Buddha mind, this is the shortest cut. Or otherwise, if you wish to be human, the basic human ground, if you wish to understand, this is a very good starting point. So therefore, in a forest atmosphere, under a tree or in a forest on a solitude place, you sit without much of a volitional activities and conscious action, just be here and now, and then how can we understand how rare it is in our busy life, we become human, we become innocence, we become straightforward. And once that is introduced, I think this, and if that is introduced, I think this retreat is successful on individual basis. So each and everyone must understand this is the kind of a birthright we have, and this is what we are going to make out or isolate or understand, and on top of that we try to be glad about that. And once that is recognized, understood, together we have to facilitate it to have the continuity. Continue of the thought moments, one thought moment to the next, to the next, to the next, here now I am. And once that is learning the art of continuity, the momentum it is gathering, it's unbelievable. When the thought moment is continuing, here and now situation from one thought moment to the second, second to the third, third to the fourth, like the one before the last U Pandita Sayadaw's retreat, in the sixth day, he mentioned, it may be difficult someone to recognize the here and now situation, or at home situation, or innocence, or humanity, but once it is recognized and learned the art, how to develop its continuity, the momentum it gathers is unbelievable. So that become our responsibility, how much we can continue unhindered, undisturbed, thought moment to thought moment. And very strange enough and very intellectual enough and very sharp enough, Maha Sayadaw, the teacher of Venerable Pandita Vivansa Sayadaw, he says, in the very first thought moment you be here and now, you cannot be aware that you are here and now. In the second thought moment, third thought moment, fourth thought moment, only after that fourth thought moment only you can be aware verily, now I am here. That means your understand, recognize I am mindful. Maybe according to the Abhidhamma teachings and the commentary exegesis, he mentioned the very first thought moment you are mindful, you don't know you are not mindful. Second thought moment, third thought moment, fourth thought moment, impossible. And after 4 thought moments, don't ask me what is the thought moment is, that's the smallest fraction of time. After the continuity only, you can be sure, this is what does it mean by here and now. This is what does it mean by at home. Or I am mindful. So therefore, not only be mindful, but have a mindset, preparedness to cognize and recognize that very mindfulness is only possible in human mind. Not possible for other animals or any yakka or any other beings, because we are in such a cross-section, in a place in our evolution. Not only we can be mindful, but we can be aware and appreciate our mindfulness. And when that happened only, I would say, not only you seconded, not only you proposed, but you seconded it. And their own word, you can be sure what is the meaning of mindfulness and what are the benefits of mindfulness, what are the characteristics of mindfulness, what are the condition factors for the mindfulness to continue like that. So therefore this understanding or introducing mindfulness to your sitting posture as a beginner, very, very important. For that you must have a beginner's mind. You must have innocence. You must have at-home feeling. You have to always, as much as possible, behave like a beginner. Then only you will learn how to earn this mindfulness and how to continue it. So when and where you dwell in this sitting posture and try to be aware your mindfulness, and imagine if you are going to relate it to your teacher, if you are going to express that thing to a teacher, even though it is difficult to do in a sufficient way, what are the ways and means that you can express? So when you are continuing this meditative life for long, you will understand how meditation is sometimes a mere problem in communication. So I found Pandita Sayadaw is the best person was on the earth addressing to that particular issue. He says, some yogis are very efficient in mindfulness and they learn the meaning of mindfulness, how to be mindfulness, what are the basic conditions and kind of thing. And when and where they are mindful, they are very efficient in reporting something like, when I sit comfortably and might be mindful, I know my sitting posture because of these touching points. Or I feel here and now the air movements through your nostrils, or rising and falling your abdomen, whatever it may be, under your very nose, very easily, very directly, they can relate, and they are the most efficient kind of yogis, and teachers also find very difficult, very easy to guide. And there is another kind, they can understand it, they can experience it, but they can't relate it. They can't report it. They can't express it. And for them only, all the guidelines regarding these interviews and the discussions, and he was the best person, gave that kind of aphorisms, ways and means to help facilitate that kind of yogis. They are very efficient, they are very innocent, and they know how to be mindful, but they do not know the expression of the very mindful experience is most important to have the rapport with the teacher or towards the progress. And he says, the Pandita Sayadaw says, don't expect too much from the yogi, because this is not their way of life. Their way of life is the form, the gain, fame, and all the kind of thing, never to be here and now. And the busy way of life people will say, being here and now is a wastage of time. You have to have the future planning. You have to have the creativity. You have to think of the productivity. You have to think about the gaining, this and that, and in that sense, being here and now is just something like wastage of time. So therefore, changing this mindset of the busy life and training them to express their first-hand experience of mindfulness is, the teachers has to be very, very patient with the yogis and don't get short-tempered or angry. Help them again and again, again and again. The main thing is not only being mindful, but to express the direct experience of mindfulness in your own language and convince the teacher or another advanced yogi, then only the progress is going to take place. So this is the second kind of yogis. And the third kind of people, they are coming to meditation centers not for mindfulness, not for expecting any kind of a nibbana kind of thing. So they are, whatever the instructions given, whatever the sharpness given, they don't listen to them, and their effort is therefore not misgeared, not much adverted into the topic. And under such circumstances, their expressions and their reports are very difficult to correct and understand, because their basic mindset is not so good. But they are happy to be among the meditators. They are happy to go into the meditation centers. And so they also make about sometimes 20-30% of the population of the meditators. The last people, they never meditate, they never come into the meditation center, they never give the reports, they are out of the question. They're not worrying about that. So therefore, basically these retreats are for the people who are taking the genuine effort, and they can't express it because they don't know the value of this expression, the communication, the rapport. For them, the teachers has to develop ways and means and operations and promote them. And when that happens, it's a big change in their life. And there is another kind, they come, but their main interest is not on meditation. For them, maybe some other part of the religion, but not the in this very life kind of a intention. So these are the two kinds of people often we meet in the meditation center. So therefore, in understanding the mindfulness in terms of sitting meditation, one has to take only one and only way, that is trial and error method, because mindfulness is the proximate factor for the mindfulness. You can't do other kinds of meritorial deeds and expect mindfulness to happen. You can't read all the books and in a theoretical sense, expect mindfulness to come and set in. And you can't practice mindfulness without theoretical understand and have a reasonable success. So therefore it's utterly trial and error method, but even then it is very spiritual, very praiseworthy. So therefore in the first 2-3 days, the specifically beginners may find it is quite uncomfortable, going against the grain like of thing. And so they have to understand this is not their personal weaknesses. This is the nature of this mindfulness. And once that is understood, don't try to rush. Don't try to accelerate it. Don't try to be smart. Just give facilities so that it has to develop in its own accord. And with this sitting posture, you find sometimes very, very difficult to sit due to the pain or due to your sleepy nature or sloth and torpor, or maybe due to distractions, sounds and thoughts and other kind of thing. So you have to do alternatively walking meditation. And in the walking meditation, you are with a simple one task or one volition, one intention, just pace up and down. And still you are comparing what is the posture junction and the posture development and the posture changes while you are in walking meditation, and they are while you are actively moving your legs or walking, when you are still try to keep the track with the walking left leg and the right leg kind of thing, your energy aspect will be mobilized. So therefore, walking meditation is very, very conducive, very, very supportive to the development of mindfulness, even though sitting meditation is being presented as the first thing. In practice, walking must come first. And while you are walking, if you can understand, here now I am walking, I am not sitting, I am not standing still, I am not lying down, and what is the difference between sitting posture and the walking posture? That's a very clear-cut understanding, or delimited kind of understanding, comprehended, say, understanding the posture differences and how do you feel it. And you have to ask your body or ask your present moment, how do you know that you are sitting, not standing? How do you know that you are on the right leg, not in the left leg? How do you know that you are not in the right hand leg, but you are listening? How do you know that you are thinking? How do you know that you are looking or seeing? So each and everything can happen in its own accord, and when and where it is happening, if you can isolate it, delimit it, and understand it, there you find the walking meditation is more diversified in mindfulness and more challenging, but the good part of it is, while walking, your touching sensation is more gross than the touch of air in your nostril, or sitting posture in your touching points, and the rising and falling the abdomen. So therefore, challenges and object is in a very dynamic and diabolic in walking meditation when compared to the sitting. So therefore, theoretically it says, walking is more to the energy aspect and the sitting is more for the concentration aspect. So through that, when the mindfulness is catching further, it naturally goes into the day-to-day activities. There are a lot of intentions are there, a lot of changes of the postures, a lot of other distractions are there. So don't worry much in the early days whether you can catch mindfulness in the day-to-day activities, but have a hope. When and where it is coming, when and where you have interoception, when and where you feel at home feeling, when and where you with your posture, when and where you develop friendliness with your body, you become your best friend. So don't be disheartened to have the continuity, but here and there have the thought moments, mindful thought moments. That is how we develop the mindfulness on the materiality or corporeality. With that with the development of that corporeality and the mindfulness, mindfulness of the corporeal and the materiality only, we can go further into the immaterial part, the main topic that we started, the feelings. So today I am not going to go further into these feelings with the understanding and the theoretical knowledge we have. We will go further tomorrow, and till that, make use each and every thought moment is possible to be here and now, and to be at home feeling, and slowly you may understand what are the other ways and means that can help facilitate it. So hope within few days' time you develop interest towards the mindfulness. With that wish, I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.